Hi there, Ollie Klepek with you. Welcome to Module 4, Understanding Values. This is the fourth module of 6 in the Beginner's Guide to Oil Painting. So let's get stuck into values. When we talk about values, we are talking about the lightness or darkness of a colour. So how do we apply that to our paintings? Well, we need a value chart. A value chart is divided into 9 shaded squares in black and white. It ranges from the lightest shade, which is white, to the darkest shade, which is black. To lighten the colour, we tint it. To darken the colour, we shade it. So the time has come now to put this all into practice. As we do that, we'll cover the other two areas that we're looking at, as colour temperature and saturation. So let's take a serious look at this painting. Obviously we have a few problems with it. The mountain in the background is highly saturated and its value or lightness is very dark and miserable. It jumps out at us rather than fading out into the background, distancing itself from the foreground. This hill's value or lightness is the same as the second hill in front of it. You could quite easily mistake both hills as being just one hill. These trees in the distance have the same value as the ones in front of them, destroying the illusion of distance. Water reflects the sky above, but if there is no value content in the sky, then you can't expect it to be in the water. When we look at the sky, the horizon is always lighter than what it is above it. Let's take a look at saturation. So here's a photo I took along the Great Ocean Road in Victoria, the 12 Apostles. Notice how saturated the colours look here in the foreground. Now take notice of the saturation along the cliff faces nearest us and the sandy beach. Look how desaturated the colours become as we head further along the coastline until we hit the horizon in the far distance. Notice how lighter the value or lightness of the colours become at the same time. The same applies to the white caps on top of the waves as they crash onto the sandy shoreline. Let's go back to our painting and put these observations into action. The first thing to do is decide what values go where to bring this scene to life. Let's see where they stand at the moment. Our darkest value is placed along the shoreline trees and the ones further back. The next ones are the highlights on these trees. Then we head to the back mountain where the value is far too dark. The two hills in front of the mountain share the next value, which are at the high end of the medium scale. In fact, they are in between the 7 and 6 scale. There is not one value in low end of the scale in this painting. So what do we do to fix this problem? Well, the first thing we need to do is do some thumbnail sketches. Don't worry about details, just concentrate on values and composition. Once you are happy with your values, you can then apply them to your painting. So here's our colour study. By adjusting our colour temperatures, we can improve the outcome of our paintings. The coolness or warmth of a colour is not set in concrete though. A colour can be cool or warm, it just depends on what colour is beside it. Here's our sky. I lightened the horizon simply by adding white to our sky colour, then added a very small amount of cadmium yellow and blended it into the horizon to warm it up. Too much yellow will turn your sky green, so we need to be very careful. A little bit goes a long way. Even though the mountain is cool in colour, a touch of alizarin crimson and lots of white gives the shadow areas a warm appearance. On our hill here we simply added yellow to the mountain colour and shaded the value darker, occasionally adding more yellow in spots, giving the hill a warmer appearance. We continued with the same mixture for the second hill but with less white. More yellow was added to the hill mixture and saturation was increased for this grassy area. A little bit umber or brown is needed here just to tone down the saturation a little. Our trees on the shoreline have the darkest values, which pushes the background further into the distance. The colour is basically a mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt umber. The trees behind these ones have the same colour but with more white added to tint the colour, making them lighter. It all comes down to controlling the value of the colours. Our little sailing boat is going to become our focal point in this painting. The value on the trees behind the sail is very dark. The sail is very light. There is the contrast. So that brings us to the end of Module 4, Understanding Values. Looking forward to catching up with you once again in Module 5, Setting Up Your Palette. If you like what you saw, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. For the latest news and videos, subscribe to my newsletters at www.ollyklepyak.com. So until next time, may your news be good news and take care.